What's up, Lego builders? Welcome back to Coconut Brick Studios for another episode of building the second battle of Geonosis in Lego. This week I hope to tackle some more of the anti-vehicle cannon. I feel like the past couple of weeks I've definitely been prioritizing the terrain and the actual, and like base plate sections of the mock, and so I want to, jump back onto that anti-vehicle cannon and make sure, I'm bringing those progress bars back up to the same level, because I feel like right now terrain's up here, cannon's down here, because if you remember, I'm building one of these before I even start the other, just so that I can have that before and after comparison, and so I can really just focus on one and not have to have the parts for both at the same time. So I got to get cracking if I want to make sure that, I'm not waiting on the anti-vehicle cannons to finish them all. All that being said, if you guys are excited for some cannon action this episode, don't forget to execute Order 66 on that like button. And while you're down there, if you haven't already, please consider hitting that subscribe button as well and tapping the bell to turn on all notifications so you won't miss any future updates or other mocks that I have planned. All that being said, let's get on with the build. This week I am going to be starting out by restoring the turret kind of main body section of the anti-vehicle cannon. Now that the legs are done, I'm going to be moving up to this middle section, and what I'm going to be doing this week is going to be mostly internal. It's so crazy to look at this and think like I built this thing back when I don't know how many of you guys remember, but like the Clone Wars cartoon movie came out. So not the 2003 cartoon Clone Wars show or the other one with like Anakin and Ahsoka, goes through all the different seasons, but the movie. I went and saw that movie at a friend's house and saw the anti-vehicle cannons for the first time, and I absolutely fell in love. So I went home and built some, and these have been built since then. Like, I've definitely modified, taken apart sections, but like the core of this build has been built for well over a decade, which is pretty crazy. So there might be some pretty old gnarly pieces in here. Here's a look at the new and improved anti-vehicle cannon. I feel like the turret body area looks a lot better. A lot of the changes weren't super external, just kind of weak old parts on the interior, discolored parts that had some paint on them. Just because, young Ethan, who originally built this, didn't have access to the same quality of parts that I have now. So I'm much happier just knowing that the interior is where it needs to be. Probably what I'm going to do next is start working on some of the more external stuff, namely the sides and the front. So on the sides of the anti-vehicle cannon, there's this weird little section that looks almost like some kind of holder for like 3 missiles or bullets of some kind. I don't know if this is decorative or functional. Either way, I'm going to try and duplicate that as best as I can on each side. I'm not going to try and, go for exact, just because this isn't exactly to scale, so I don't know how well I'd be able to fit, the exact design on there. And then on the front, you've got like a kind of quarter round piece sticking out of the front with like a weird cylinder on top of it. I may have to do some more research and figure out what exactly that is so that I can better duplicate it or duplicate something that looks like it. What I have now doesn't really cut it. These angles are much too straight. I'm thinking about using an angle that's more curved, kind of like this, and then sticking it on the front right there. As far as the rear of the cannon goes, I don't really know if I've ever seen actual pictures or an actual look of the rear of the AV7, so I might just try and do something that's reminiscent of, the other sides, take the same aesthetic design, coloration, and style, and just build my own thing back here just to make it look kind of cool. Another thing I've got to fix is over here on this side, so they've got like they've got some steps leading up to the cannon where the gunner sits on the side here. I'm thinking about replacing these with the same brick but in a different color, but in yellow. That will be a little bit more accurate because I feel like these do a pretty good job of conveying stairs. The only thing I don't like is they're massive, and I need to be able to fit 3 on here, so I might have to adjust where they are so I can fit 3 on there, or maybe try and see if I can find some smaller pieces that will still work like a step. So that's what I've got planned for the cannon coming up. For terrain work, I'm going to be working over here this week and getting that mountain ready and kind of get the outline of where I want it to go. So that way I can figure out where to put the mountain in relation to the cannon, because I can't have the cannon too far over this way because I'm going to have the command post here and the first cannon right there. So I'll do a little bit of planning, lay some kind of small layout in. I don't see myself building too much vertically though this week. I'm just trying to get the base figured out. All that being said, I got my work cut out for me, and I will check back in when I have more to update you with. Well, this week did not go as planned. I just wrapped up my live stream and I just kept working on terrain. I shouldn't have, but that's what happened. I did get a lot of the terrain work done. I was able to bury a couple of really tricky spots, namely this spot right here and this spot right here. These two spots were tricky because I don't know if you guys remember, but I did some interesting like technical stuff right there by bringing in plates like this at an angle, and so I had to kind of copy that similar angle. So what I did was I put this plate down at an angle so it matched this plate, and then kind of just left it hanging right here, left a big gap right here, and then covered up this front section like this with a wedge plate, and then connected it to that back one like that. So I do have a little bit of a gap here that I'm still going to need to work on, but I've covered up a good chunk of that hole. And then kind of here in the back, I've got another tile. Once I get more tile and plate in, I'll cover up the rest of this and try and make it look more natural. Did kind of the same thing over here. I don't want to take this section apart to show you just because so much of it's been built and it was kind of tough, but similar principle right there. I did also finally get this secondary ridge completed. I felt like it would never end, but you can see it runs all the way from over here across this front, up this side right here, around this back, through here, and then connects over here at the back of this mountain. So I'm very happy to have that all done because that means the bulk of my wedge plates have now been purchased. They're really hard to find and really expensive, so I'm glad that's now done, and I feel like it looks pretty good. I don't have a ton of experience with this technique of using wedge plates on top of your terrain, but I feel like it turned out all right. You can't really see the back super well because of the lighting and angles, but you'll get to see a better, look at it in the finale. This area over here is really the last section for the terrain that I need to do. And I've got a bunch of tiles coming in, so that'll be easy. And then I started the mountain right here as well, just because I needed something to do on the stream. And it's looking pretty good, but we'll probably tackle more of that next week. All that being said, that'll wrap up this week, and it's time to hit the outro. I hope you guys enjoyed this week of building Geonosis. I'm mad at myself for, once again, prioritizing the terrain. I think part of it comes down to intimidation and parts. The terrain's just so easy, you know what I mean? It's easy to sit down on the live stream and just work on terrain, whereas I don't always know if I have the parts in for the anti-vehicle cannon. It requires a lot more thinking, a lot more problem solving, and so I can't do that on stream as easily. But I think what I'm going to start doing in the future to kind of remedy the situation is for the next couple Geonosis streams only working on the vehicle, because I think if I get the parts and really sit down, even if I don't get as much progress as I would have liked, I'll still be getting progress done, and that way you guys will be able to see more variation in the weekly update. All that being said, thank you guys all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to let me know what you thought about this episode down below in the comments, and I will catch you guys all next time. But until then, happy building.